All right, at this time, we will go ahead and call this meeting to order. Val, will you go ahead and please call the roll?
Commissioner Penny?
Here.
Commissioner Curry?
Here.
Commissioner Danio?
Here.
Commissioner Johnson? Here. Mayor Villa?
Here, and at this time, I will ask you all to silence any electronic devices that you may have, and I will ask you to also join us in the invocation led by City Commissioner Roy Johnson, and continue standing afterwards for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I would like to thank you tonight, God, for all you've done for me and for all you've done for our city and for all you've done for our community. It has grown and prospered so well in the last few years, and it's going further and better now as we speak. We see it every single day. We see it increasing. You're blessing us and give us your blessing, God, and I appreciate it so much, and we all do. And God, I ask you to watch over us, take care of us, guard our hearts, help us to do the correct things, help us to care for others, help us to vote and decide the right things, what's best for everyone. And we ask everything in the name of your Son, our Lord Jesus Christ, our risen Savior. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Commissioner Johnson. We will move to our presentation, and this is a proclamation declaring April as Water Conservation Month in the city of Holly Hill, Florida. And with no objection, I will ask that this be entered into the record. Val, if you could enter this into the record. Seeing no objection, we will move that into the record. Now we'll move down to public comments. This is the audience's opportunity to address the City Commission on anything that's not on our regular agenda tonight. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to address the Commission? Yes, sir. Are you together? Okay. Oh, I know you.
Where's Joe?
Yeah, it's the masks. I do not know you, though, so both of you enter your names into the record and who you are.
Good evening. My name is Chance McElvain. I'm an area director with the Boys and Girls Clubs of Volusia Flagler.
Good evening. I'm Rex Hoffman. I'm the unit director at your Holly Hill Boys and Girls Club.
Thank you. And go ahead. You'll have 5 minutes, and go ahead.
Excellent. Thank you. First of all, thank you, Mr. Mayor, Commission, City staff, and City Administrator for having us here. Sorry, City Manager. Again, my name is Chance. I'm one of the area directors for the Boys and Girls Clubs of Volusia and Flagler counties. I have the pleasure of working with Rex. He's just one of quite a few staff members we have that I get the privilege of working with. We have our new annual report for 2020. I'd like to maybe get with someone to pass these out with you guys. Well, we do our annual report. Yeah, we do our annual report the year after it happened. So these are all the facts and figures for 2020. My favorite part, nice, beautiful pictures of the kids. But really, we just wanted to thank you for allowing us to use that facility over there right next door. Rex has a phenomenal program over there. I love coming to work with him and his kids and things like that. So without any further ado, I'll let Rex talk to you about the more interesting things at the club.
Thank you, Chance. And now that you take down the mask, I recognize you from the board meeting the other day. So I'm sorry about that. All right, Rex, come forward.
I'll take mine down. I don't want to shock anybody, though. I have to mimic what Chance said. I just wanted to come now that we're back in session and live. I always want to come and thank you guys for all the continued support. Yes, the building, yes, the land. It's been one of my favorite clubs for a long time. I aspired to come here. But most recently, y'all did some tree trimming over there. Couple that had fell in the backyard and a couple up front that were looking a little shady, no pun. But y'all cleaned those up. The crew did an awesome job, and I thank y'all for that just on recent support. And of course, coming out to the grand opening of the art room. We are churning out art. We will see that at Steak and Steak if we attend. But just really thank you. Thank you. It's awesome to be in that building. I just love the building. As usual, now that we're all live, I do want to remind everybody, it wasn't last year because we weren't live, but now that we're live, every Friday is Slushy Day. National Slushy Day, and we always call the police. We always call the fire department. I'd like to extend the invitation to y'all too. Now that it's a little more relaxed, y'all can come have a slushie. Typically, we're going to have hot dogs, maybe, hot dogs and burgers. So every Friday, instead of EMS appreciation, let's just do city appreciation. So every Friday around lunchtime, come get a slushie, see the kids.
Thank you, Rex. Thank you both so much, and we appreciate everything you do for our youth here. So thank you for being here. To our city clerk right there. Yep. Thank you both.
Thank you.
Take care. Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to address the city commission on anything not on our regular agenda tonight? Seeing none, I'll close public participation, and we will move to item number 4, approval of the minutes from March 9th, 2021 regular city commission meeting. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion needed? Would anybody in the public like to comment on the minutes tonight? Seeing none, I'll close public participation. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, motion carries unanimously. Now moving to our consent agenda. We only have one item on here tonight. The action proposed is stated for the item on the consent agenda. Unless the city commissioner removes this item from the consent agenda, no discussion on individual items will occur, and a single motion will approve all items. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to speak on any item on the consent agenda? Seeing none, I'll close public participation, and I'll entertain a motion for approval.
Motion for approval.
We have a motion from Commissioner Curry and a second from Commissioner Johnson. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries unanimously. Number 6 on our regular agenda, number 1, Resolution 2021-R-23. Mr. Simpson?
Resolution number 2021-R-23 by title only for first and only reading. A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Holly Hill, Florida, approving the surplus and intent to sell the property identified as Kansas Street parcel number 4242-36-30-0220 by negotiated sale and waiving any and all bidding requirements, providing for severability, providing for conflicting resolutions, and providing an effective date.
Thank you. Mr. Forte?
This is a piece of property that's on the unopened right-of-way of Kansas Street. It's basically landlocked. You can't get there from here. It's backed up to the canal, and it abuts the properties on Peacock. It really has no value to the city, and it only has value to the people that abut the property, which is the property immediately north on Peacock or the 2 neighbors on either side of that property. So I do know that the property owner directly north is interested in purchasing it. I think we should go ahead and surplus this and get it sold. I don't need a realtor involved for the sale of this property, and just get it back on the tax rolls.
Thank you very much, Mr. Forte. Are there any questions for staff? Yes, sir.
Joe, are we obligated to notify all the neighbors in that area that abut it?
I did.
Okay.
No, only the ones that abut it.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, not, that's it. Yep.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Is there any other questions for staff? Seeing none, we'll open this up to public comment. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to comment on this tonight? Seeing none, we'll close public comment and I'll entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion from Vice Mayor Penny and a second from Commissioner Danio to approve Resolution 2021-R-23. Is there any discussion needed? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, motion carries unanimously. Moving to number 2, Resolution 2021-R-24. Mr. Simpson?
Resolution number 2021-R-24 by title only for first and only reading. A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Holly Hill, Florida, approving the surplus and intent to sell the property identified as 471 Ferndale Street, parcel number 37-15-33-39-06-0130. 475 Ferndale Street, parcel number 37-15-33-39-06-0160, and 8th Street, parcel number 44-14-32-01-08-0070 by negotiated sale and waiving any and all bidding requirements, providing for severability, providing for conflicting resolutions, and providing an effective date.
Thank you. Mr. Forte.
Okay, so this is a piece of property that the city purchased in the fiscal year 2016-17 for $30,000. It was intended that this property would be used as a retention pond to handle capacity of stormwater in that neighborhood. After we did the engineering study, we found out that it really is not going to take care of a quantity issue. It's more of a water quality issue. And we determined that it really wasn't a benefit to the city to earn those water quality credits. We're looking for quantity benefits in our stormwater plan. So the property's been sitting there now for a couple of years and holds no additional value to the city, so we'd like to go ahead and surplus this. These are 3 parcels. One of them is an undersized parcel. One is a conforming parcel that you'd be able to build a single-family home on. And the third one is actually an interior parcel with no access except through the 2 parcels that I just mentioned. So Brian and I talked, and what we'd like to do is remove all the parcels and just make it one big parcel and sell it as an entire piece, and then let somebody who's interested in it come in and subdivide it into what could potentially be 3 buildable lots for 3 homes to be put on there. They'd have to bring a driveway in and maybe a hammerhead or a cul-de-sac that would get access to those interior lots. We spoke with Marta, who's our contracted realtor, and she feels that we can list that property for $99,000, which would be between the purchase price, and I think we spend probably $37,000 on the environmental study and the engineering study, so we'd at least walk away with a little bit of a profit on that if we can get close to that number.
Thank you very much. Is there any questions for staff? Seeing none, we'll open this up to public comment. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak on this item tonight? Seeing none, I'll close public comment, and I'll entertain a motion for approval of Resolution 2021-R-24.
Motion to approve. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion needed? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The motion carries unanimously. Now moving to number 3 on our regular agenda. This is a request for lien reduction for 1498 Graham Avenue. Mr. Forte.
The city received a request for reduction of a code enforcement lien that was placed upon the real property at 1498 Graham Avenue. The property is currently owned by Balaz Stardinger. According to the claim of lien created on March 5, 2017, the property has accumulated fines for violations of City Ordinance 114-793 regarding commercial vehicles parked in the front yard, as well as violations of the International Property Maintenance Code. The Special Master's conclusions of law indicated that the violations of the Property Maintenance Code had been corrected. However, the parking of the large commercial vehicle continued past the due date. The order of lien has applied a special master fee of $250 plus $25 per day per violation against the property. The fine began accumulating on August 25, 2015, and as of the request of this lien, 2017, as a request of the lien reduction. As of the request for a lien reduction, the amount of the lien was $18,475 plus administrative costs. The property is in compliance now and therefore qualifies for a lien reduction. I negotiated a settlement with the property owner for an agreed-upon settlement amount of $1,436.97. That constitutes all the administrative costs that were applied to the property plus 5% of the original loan. So at this time, we're requesting the Commission reduce the lien from $18,475 to $1,436.97, and that the city would not release the lien amount until payment is received in the amount of $1,436.97. If payment is not received by 5 p.m. on April 6th, the full amount of the lien will remain in place without an option to reduce the fine any further in the future.
Thank you, Mr. Forte. Are there any questions for staff?
Can you explain a little bit, for those out listening, the reason we do that?
Well, it's twofold. Number one, many of these situations, the property is being sold, and they're trying to clear the lien. So in some cases, like this particular one, the property is in compliance, and they're trying to remove the lien in order for them to sell the property with a clear title. The city's goal in all of these code enforcement violations is compliance. It's not to make money. So once the property is in compliance, we try to recoup the fees that the city's put into it, whether it's hard costs like the special master fee or filing fees, the administrative time that's put into it. And then based on the type of violation, I negotiate with them and I try to get anywhere between 5 and 10% of the original lien. So the way I come about that is depending upon the type of violation. If somebody's got high grass or chipped paint or something minor like that and they just can't afford to do it, I go with 5% of the lien. If I have a problem that's a property that's a real problem and they've been a problem for a long time and they've not dealt well with the city, then I apply a 10% lien. So quite frankly, I take the liberty of negotiating what I think is best for the city that's going to resolve it. If we don't resolve it, then it sits there either in non-compliance for a very long time, and we never get any funds out of it, and it never gets sold, and in some cases, it goes into foreclosure, and we're stuck with a vacant, dilapidated ghost property.
So though it sounds like we're giving a big break, we're really not. We're just,
Well,
we're not in business to make money. We're business, like you say,
Yeah,
for compliance.
if you recall, a couple of properties, a couple of years ago, it's been a while, where we've had investors buy the property out of foreclosure, and we've charged them the full lien amount, over $30,000 in one case, and I think over $50,000 in another. If it's bought out of foreclosure, and the lien, there's money left over through the foreclosure process, we try to recapture as much of that lien money as we possibly can. In the cases when there's a sale pending, we try to cooperate to get that property into compliance, which, like I said earlier, is the goal.
Right. Thank you.
Sure.
Yeah, and that's the important point there, Mr. Forte, is that the whole goal with a lien in the first place is make sure it comes into compliance, and when you have someone coming along to purchase a property and to make it better, then that works well for the city. But at the same time, we shouldn't lose money, citizens, taxpayers' money, by going through that process as well. So it's one of those win-win-wins all the way around, as I see it. So
I can tell you, years ago, we really weren't charging any money to release liens.
Right.
Somebody would come in and the lien would just disappear. So since I'm back in 2014, and we instituted what we did in Seminole County by trying to collect some of these liens, we've raised, brought in quite a bit of money, actually. So it's been beneficial.
it makes it a much better deal for the taxpayer
For everyone.
at the end of the day. Okay, and with that, are you the applicant in the audience? I just don't recognize you.
That's
Okay.
the annexation.
Okay. Is the applicant here tonight?
No,
I
they-
don't see so, okay.
Typically, Mayor, if they are in agreement with what we've negotiated, I tell them that's not necessary for them to come. If they don't agree, I tell them they have the opportunity that they can come and plead their version to the commission and ask for a greater reduction and not agree with me.
Okay, great. Are there any further questions for staff? With that, we'll open this up to public comment. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak to the commission on this item tonight? Seeing none, I'll close public comment, and I'll entertain a motion for approval of the lien reduction as stated by Mr. Forte.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion from Commissioner Danio and a second from Commissioner Curry. Is there any discussion needed? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The motion carries unanimously. Now moving to our public hearing. Number one, ordinance 2021-0-3037. Second reading. Mr. Simpson.
Ordinance number 2021-0-3037 by title only for second and final reading. An ordinance of the City of Holly Hill, Volusia County, Florida, annexing by voluntary petition approximately 1.45 acres identified as parcel numbers 4242-31-01-0270 and 4242-31-01-0280, contiguous to the City of Holly Hill, redefining boundaries of the City of Holly Hill to include said property and the adjacent right-of-ways of North Nova Road and Old Kings Road, directing the city clerk to file the ordinance with the clerk of the circuit court, with the chief administrative officer of Volusia County, and with the Department of State, providing for conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, and providing an effective date.
Thank you, Mr. Simpson. Mr. Walker.
Yes, Mayor, Commissioners. There have been no changes since first reading on this request to annex two parcels that total approximately 1.45 acres. They're more specifically known as 1529 Old Kings Road and 1860 North Nova Road. Staff has reviewed Florida Statute Section 171.044, which presents the requirements, the state's requirements in order to do an annexation. This is a voluntary annexation, and it's staff's opinion that the applicant meets those requirements. The commission should be aware that this request does precede a request for a comprehensive plan amendment and a rezone. The request for the future land use will be to general commercial, and the rezone will be to CC1 commercial corridor. Both of these districts are consistent with the property that's already in the city that they abut. So they'll simply be adopting the future land use and the rezoning of the piece that they are already next to. Staff does recommend that the City Commission annex 2 parcels totaling 1.45 acres, along with the adjacent rights-of-way located approximately 500 feet south of Flomet Street between North Nova Road and Old Kings Road, and more specifically known as 1529 Old Kings Road and 1860 North Nova Road. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Walker. Is there any question for staff? Thank you, Mr. Walker. I do see that you are the applicant for this. I'll give you the opportunity to speak if you want to, but you don't have to. This is a second reading. All right. Thank you, sir. And with that, we'll open this up to public comment. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak to the commission tonight? Seeing none, I'll close public comment, and I will ask for a motion for approval. We have a motion for approval from Mr. Johnson.
Second.
Second from Vice Mayor Penny. Is there any discussion needed? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the motion carries unanimously. Now moving to number 8, communications. Mr. Forte?
Yeah, I have a number of things to report and seek direction on. If you remember at the last meeting, a young lady came up and was talking about the water goat, which is this flotation device that prevents the trash going out the canal into the intercoastal. So we were able to meet with them and select a location actually behind Sika Hall for it to be placed. So they're going to go through the grant writing process to get us one of those water goats and publicize it for us as a great environmental thing that we're doing to prevent the trash from going out. So that's moving forward well. Miriam Gabby, as you know, sent an email out saying that she thinks the widening of LPJ is doable, and I'd like to set up a work session with her if you're okay with May 11th. That's one of the dates that she was available, so we'd make it a 5 o'clock work session and find out what the steps are to go from there. So no objection to May 11th.
Is there any objection?
I'm looking. Hang on.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm good.
What day is that, Joe?
Tuesday. It's right before the meeting.
Yeah.
Hold on one second. Are you good?
I'm good.
Okay. Everybody good? All right.
Okay. That's the soonest I can
Yeah.
get. The state of the county, you received an email that they're only opening it up and allowing 2 members of the commission to attend the state of the county, and before the end of the night, I think you should select who should be attending that. The Easter egg hunt is this Saturday at 10 o'clock, just to make you all aware, to try and be here and spend a little time with some of the local kids. I was notified today that the inmates, I guess crime has been down during COVID, so there's not a lot of inmates in the jails, and as a result, there's not a lot of inmate work getting done in the jails. So what they've been telling us is that it's very possible that they will pull our inmates, all of the inmates, off of the work details that they do to get them to do work inside the facilities. So we may be in a situation where we lose the inmates again. We've gotten them back for a couple of weeks. They haven't been on Ridgewood Avenue, but they've been in other places of the city. So I just want to make you aware that it's very possible that we're going to end up losing the inmates again. We'll try to get a credit for any time that they're not here. Tomorrow, they'll start to remove the carpeting and the seats in this room, so that hopefully within 3 weeks, they'll come back and be replaced and look nice and refreshed.
What color are they going to be?
Very similar to what you already see. I think the seats are a little bit darker and the floor's a little lighter, or vice versa, but it's very similar to what's already here.
Okay. Just curious.
Okay. I need to schedule a shade meeting with the commission, and a shade meeting is to discuss the union contracts and negotiations for this coming year. I'd like to try to get that done potentially at the second meeting in May. so that we can get that, at least get my direction on where we're going to go with that. And as you know, wages is going to be the significant issue this coming year, especially in light of the minimum wage increasing to $15 an hour over the next 5 years. That was, I checked the record, Val pulled it for me, and it was about a 2-to-1 support by the Holly Hill community to increase minimum wage. Those in support, roughly 900, those in opposition, roughly 500 in each of the districts. And the last thing I wanted to bring up was the pickleball. A bit of sad but good news at the end of the day. They had a pickleball player suffer cardiac arrest on the courts. Reiner actually started CPR on the person, and there was a former battalion chief from South Florida that was there, and a nurse. And by the time they were done, he was conscious and awake as he was going into the ambulance.
When
They
did this
used
happen?
Yeah, when was that?
this afternoon.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was there for lunch.
See you, that's what Julie was talking about.
I played last night.
That's one of the phone calls was that.
Right.
They used the AED, which helped save his life, and so that's a good thing that took place there.
Wow.
Wow.
Rayner happened to be playing? Right
He was
there?
there. I don't know if he was playing, but he was
Yeah,
there.
he's there a lot when he's not even playing.
Yeah.
Huh.
So
It's
I
awesome
spoke
that
with
they
each
did
of you about the next phase of pickleball, Phase 2. And we mentioned to you that the ECHO grant process is very far behind. They've got a new grant board. They're rewriting the rules and the procedures for grants. They're going to be doing some community listening sessions. I'm going to be going to the session that they're hosting at the Orman Library to hear what they have to say. But they're not even going to open up the grant application until at least September at the earliest, which puts it about a whole year out. So the Martins don't want to have to wait for that grant application. And I know it sounds kind of, why wouldn't you want to wait for a $400,000 grant application? It's still a competitive grant. We may not get it based on what the use of that facility is. They may turn around and go, well, we gave you one for the Phase 1, we're not going to give you one for Phase 2 or a modified version. So they've come back, I've seen several iterations of what Phase 2 is going to look like. And one of the things the commission mentioned early on when they were talking about the championship court is the city paying for or toward the cost of the covered court.
Joe, remind me on the ECHO grant, what would the match be when you apply for a grant? Is it 2-to-1 or is it greater than that?
It's 1-to-1.
1-to-1?
Yeah, it's 50% matching grant.
Okay.
At that level. At the higher level, it's even more. So that's what we're doing. And again, those rules are changing in this rewrite. So the anticipated cost now of Phase 2 is exceeding $3 million, which is about $1 million more than what the Martins had anticipated for this. So they've come to me and they've asked if the city would be willing to contribute $500,000 toward the construction of Phase 2, with the money going primarily toward the roof structure for the championship court. So as you know, we've been talking a lot about the other purpose that championship court would be used for, and that's a performance area. I met with Al Smith today to get his ideas of what can possibly be used, be brought there for performances, and he thinks it would be a reasonably good venue. The band shell has over 4,500 seats. This would only have 1,000. If you include what we'll call the box seats, the seating on the floor, we might get up to about 1,300 or 1,400 seats total. So it's still not a bad sized venue. The benefit to this is it is undercover. So if it's too hot or misty or rainy, our performances would still go on, where the band shell, it really isn't. There is no cover there. So it's hit and miss, he said, depending upon who you get, how much it costs, what the promoter's cost is. You'd have to anticipate that if we're going to put on performances at this facility, it's going to cost money no matter what. It's going to cost us the promoter's money, and it might even cost us the talent money if you want to, depending upon how much you want to charge. And he certainly recommends charging a fee, even if it may be a nominal fee. It could be $10, or it could be more depending upon the name that you bring in. So I think it's he seemed very exciting about it. He didn't seem like he was trying to sales pitch us his services. I'm still trying to reach out to the promoter of the band shell to get some more thoughts out of that person. And we don't quite yet have the plans done. We've met with, Antoine and Stella and I met with Reiner last week to talk about the bidding process, because I think he would get more competitive pricing if he bids it, rather than to try to negotiate on his own. So we're going to go through that bidding process, but we can't enter into an agreement with him until we have the design. So, we'll work off of the existing contract, but the details of it have to reflect what we would be paying for in a new contract. So that's why I don't have a contract in front of you. And although you're not committing to anything tonight, I'm trying to get consensus of the commission if they would be in favor of moving forward with a $500,000 investment into Phase 2. That'll bring our total investment into the property to $1.8 million for what will be a $10 million project that the city owns the assets to. I was pretty excited after meeting and talking with Al Smith. I think that we will be able to bring some talent here. I think it will be a benefit to our community and the surrounding community to come in and see these shows. And he talked in terms of creating a concert series, that you wouldn't start just picking people. The promoter would say, well, we're going to do this, XYZ series of concerts on the second Saturday of every month from, all the months except maybe August and September, July, August, and September, because it may be too hot. So maybe 7, 8, 9 months out of the year, we try to do a concert series to get people to come here. And the benefit to that is, is a recognition of Holly Hill and the facility. It's not going to be a moneymaker. I want to make that clear. Like most programs that we put on, they're not moneymakers. It's something that we be at least offering back to the community as a benefit. So I want to throw that out there and see if the commission is in support of us moving forward with a $500,000 contribution.
Is it not a moneymaker, or is it a break even at best?
Say that
If
again?
we're lucky.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Break even if we're lucky, yeah.
If we're lucky.
Yeah. The other thing that I mentioned to Al Smith was, it could cost $10,000 or $15,000 for the talent to come here. And depending upon what we want to do at 7, 8, 9 months, you could budget $100,000 out of the CRA and bring that here as a CRA program.
Or allow a promoter to come in and take all that risk, upfront cost.
Well, we'd have to hire the promoter no matter what.
Right.
And the promoter, the way the promoters work is they get a base. They get a guaranteed base fee, and then they get skin in the game to fill the seats. Mm-hmm. So if they don't fill the seats, they lose money. If they do fill the seats, they make money. Money is made off of the vending, beer and wine and food and things like that. So it's a total package. So there are different, as you're alluding to, there are different scenarios of how a promoter could make money and it becomes profitable. But a lot of times there's, and he said especially the first 3-4 years, there's a risk because it's unknown. It's not a known location. You don't know what kind of performers you're going to get here, what the talent's going to be. So we would try to build that as a performance center over the next couple of years that hopefully in the future it would sustain itself.
Mm-hmm. Well, I, for one, I really love the idea. For years and years, we've heard, at least I've heard from many community members about music in the park. And I think there's other things that could possibly happen and work there as well as we move forward. There could be ceremonies. There could be graduations for UBIC or Holly Hill School. There could be many, many different things that would really benefit the community, benefit the citizens. And so I do like the idea. I think the question comes down to, and tonight we're not answering the question of are we funding the $500,000, just giving you direction to move forward that we're willing to go down that route. Or if this commission says, let's halt this right now, we only want to spend $200,000 and wait and put the project on hold for about probably 2 years, Joe, at least a year and a half to get through the ECHO process.
A year and a half.
So halt it for a year and a half to wait and see if we can even get that, that grant to go ahead and come through for us. And we bear that risk upon that. I think right now we have a lot of momentum building with Pictona. And I think that, that we look to carry that on. By no means do I want any of us up here rubber stamping, yes, this is what we're doing before we get any of it. But I, for one, am happy with allowing this negotiation process to continue on and will be brought back to us. So I'll open the floor for anybody who wants to speak. Okay. Mr. Johnson's for it too. Yep.
I believe we should go down this road. Also, we have to look at the economic impact that this is going to have 5-10 years down the road. So if we're being forward thinkers like we generally try to be, I believe this is going to be beneficial in ways that we haven't even seen yet for our community.
Thank you, Commissioner. Daniel?
I'm good.
All right. Vice Mayor?
I'm wholeheartedly support it whenever you can get a 5.5 to 1 match from a private investor. I think it's phenomenal, and I've got some things that on my comments that'll tie into some of the other comments I heard earlier, so I'm in favor of it.
Okay. Thank you, Vice Mayor. All right, Mr. Forte, you have consensus.
That's all I need. That's all I have, thanks.
All right. Thank you. Mr. Simpson? All right. Mrs. Manning? Mr. Kutakis? All right. I have a few things today, and Joe, pay attention to this one. We have a community leaders meeting, preventing drug use and overdose among our youth, this Thursday at 2 p.m. This is the meeting I told you all about a month ago that Mr. Forte asked our police chief to put together to talk about how, just to get the conversation started. We don't know what the action is going to be yet, but to get the conversation started, bring all our faith community, our health officials, our law enforcement, all of these people together, get them in the same room, and hopefully something good will come of it. I plan on attending this meeting again. I know Mr. Forte and our chiefs will be there as well. I wanted to bring it up to you guys because I didn't want any of you to feel left out of it. And the reason I'm asking you to pay attention to it, Mr. Forte, is because are they allowed to come to that? Is it a publicly advertised meeting? I know we're not talking about actionable items, but if there is something that could be actionable, I just don't, and maybe that's a Mr. Simpson question.
And the easy answer is, I don't foresee there being actionable items on there, but I would recommend that if multiple commissioners come, we could advertise it. One, the safest thing to do is to advertise it as a meeting where more than one commissioner is going to be there. And two is to be there and listen and not participate. If you don't speak, you can't get in trouble.
Okay.
So if you sit there and you listen to the conversation and you don't participate, then I think that's the safest way to go.
Okay.
Right to remain silent, not the ability.
And don't sit next to each other.
I feel comfortable, Mr. Mayor, myself and you and Mr. Forte attending and bringing back the information to us.
Okay, if we have anything to report. All right.
I feel comfortable myself.
If any of you attend, I will do my best to not talk, but you know how hard that is.
I know. You have the right, but not the ability.
I want to see, just to see that.
Just put me to the test.
Yeah.
Hey, that might be worth it.
Okay, well, I just wanted to bring that up. And second thing, I wanted to let you all know that after our Easter event, we will have, there is a group called Ormond Strong, which is a group that gets together and they support veterans, and they do walks holding our American flags, and probably all of you are aware of it. It's their 6th anniversary, and they're going to have an event right after the Easter egg event here at City Hall from 12 to 2 at the DAV Museum here on 8th Street, and they're going to also be honoring some of our veterans. I was asked to attend and to speak, so I will be there, but I wanted to make sure everybody else was invited to that as well.
If they'll get us some kind of a flyer, we can put it on our Facebook page.
Okay,
I'm
I'll
not
tell
aware
her.
of anything.
All right. Then we have, I wanted to bring up, speaking of pickleball, the Bainbridge Cup coming up April 7th through the 11th, and that should really prove to be very interesting to see the success of that. I hope it is very successful. I know I'll be attending some of those days. I'm sure some of you will
Be
also.
attending but not playing.
Yeah.
Not quite at that level yet.
And then we have, the last thing I have on here, Mr. Forte and Kevin Fall, who's not here today, our economic development coordinator. We attended a meeting this past week in Daytona Beach, and it was the Revitalized Seabreeze meeting, and primarily for Seabreeze Boulevard. And we just wanted to be in the room to have a seat at the table to listen to ideas that are happening, and to also encourage them that once they are working on that, to carry that progress over the bridge. And we are right there at the base of the bridge and consider that a gateway of our city. And so if any projects are happening, we want to be a part of that. We want to hear about it. I know that this commission, a couple years back, we decided we wanted to try to make that area maybe a future entertainment district. We never officially, I don't think, took action on that, but we discussed that. And so it's something to keep in mind. There may be future opportunities there, and so we want to make sure that we have a seat at the table. So I wanted to inform you all that happened. Not much really came out of the meeting yet. It was just an idea session, but if anything more comes of it, we will let you know. And lastly, just want to wish everybody a happy Easter. This is one of those weird weeks where we're going to switch our meetings. We're going to not have a meeting the week after next. It's going to be the following one, so 3 weeks from now. So I wanted to wish everybody a happy Easter. Hope you have a great time.
But there you missed the most important part of that meeting.
What?
With all the speakers that were there and all the attention that was given, it was your picture that made it on
In
the
the,
front
in the paper.
poll. Which,
Yeah.
like you
thought
told
that
me,
was
you got to
kinda
take
neat.
every win you can.
Yeah.
Thought that was kind of neat.
I
The
tried,
city
and I
actually-
tried not to speak, didn't I?
Yeah.
Davis ripped me up onto the stage with the chairman, so just briefly spoke, and somehow that ended up happening. But with that, we will go tonight, and we will start with Commissioner Curry.
Thank you, sir. I really don't have anything, except for I hope to see everybody out Saturday, the Easter egg hunt. I'm actually going to have all 6 of my grandkids there. Probably go crazy, more gray.
Or the cardiac arrested.
Or that. But other than that, I wish everybody a happy Easter, and that's all I have.
All right.
Have a good night.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Daniel.
Commissioner Daniel has not much to say, except same thing. No, I was just happy to see we got through Bike Week. Everything seemed pretty peaceful, and everybody seemed to behave themselves, so that's always a good thing, so. But I don't have anything here.
All right. Commissioner Johnson.
Since tomorrow's the in-person TPO meeting, in person, the second one in forever. If anybody has anything they could say about, maybe we could push forward on the LPGA, maybe we could bring it up, because now that we found out that funding is a possibility, and it is doable,
Doable.
and it's not like we have to take money out of our own city pocket or anything. So maybe, could anybody say that they're in agreement to want to do it?
You could tell them we're having a meeting, workshop coming up to discuss it as well.
I don't know anything about the funding mechanism right now.
Yeah, I mean, I would have to hear the details from that workshop before I could say I support it.
We're gonna have the workshop, we're the ones who have to decide. What's the workshop, nobody else is gonna be there to encourage us. So, I mean, I want LPGA, especially now that we've already decided we wanna go like a phase 2 pickleball. I would think we need to promote more of a road that comes and goes through it. I would think, but sketch down the road just a little bit anyway, seems like I'm not gonna go with it tomorrow, because it's kind of parochial tomorrow, I guess. Anything else I bring up at the TPO for the in-person meeting?
Mr. Forte wanted to.
Do you want me to extend an invitation to someone from the county to attend that work session with Miriam?
What somebody?
County manager,
County manager.
Chair.
county
The chair.
engineer, traffic engineer.
The chair may be good too, and the county manager, both
Yeah.
of them. And I will say in my talks with the county chairman yesterday at a ribbon cutting, he mentioned that he's all behind it.
Well,
100%.
actually, I think a really good person would be the county engineer.
Can
Because
invite them.
they would know more of the,
I'll open it to the county manager and let him decide who he would
Okay,
assign to come.
okay.
yeah. Good idea.
The county engineers have pretty well agreed that we need to widen for sure Williamson Boulevard and Avenue, so we've got that kind of behind us. The county's gonna handle that. But another thing is, traffic was pretty heavy yesterday morning on LPGA by the interstate, as we noticed.
Yeah, I wonder why.
Especially when we came out of Buckeye, remember?
Mm-hmm.
It was like a gridlock there almost, just so much traffic. It's amazing, but it was worth it because Buc-ee's was a great thing. We both attended well, I attended as a member of the Daytona Beach Regional Chamber of Commerce and also a city official, so there was two. Besides Daytona Beach, there was two city officials there, I think. That was it, it was you and me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there's any other city official from any other city at all either.
You're correct.
I went Saturday. I went Saturday. It was a special first responder thing. That place is huge.
Yeah, it is.
It was pretty amazing. So
Gigantic. They ran out of gas the first day.
Did they?
Yeah, yeah,
What?
yeah.
Wow.
By evening
I
time.
pulled up and the pump was just about full, there's 120
Yeah.
pumps. And some of them had almost every one of them.
I didn't think that was gonna be possible. I'm like,
right.
how are they ever gonna use all those pumps?
Yeah, they ran out.
But every time there's
Man.
something meeting about funding for roads, the excuse is they don't have the funding because nowadays, everybody using fuel-efficient cars, electric vehicles, and not using very much gasoline like they used to. But they're still building Wawas, racetracks,
105 gas stations.
and sometimes you have to wait in line to get to the pumps.
Mm-hmm.
So something don't add up quite with that picture, but maybe it's down the road, it's not gonna have as much fuel sold. I still think we just need to promote LPGA as much as we can, and we saw good example of it yesterday, how the traffic is on it, how it's gonna get more and more and more. That's mainly what I have. My little grandson has a baseball tournament next Saturday, so I might have to do a baseball tournament instead of a tea state. I'll try to make it to both, but gotta be at a baseball tournament. That's about all I have tonight.
All right. Thank you, Commissioner. You brought up, can I go right before you, something he talked about?
You're in charge, man.
Just didn't want to jump. You brought up the gas tax, and Mr. Forte, when will that be coming back to us, the agreement of the allocation of, between the cities?
It was sent around to all the cities and the attorneys to look at, and I gotta imagine in the next month or two, I think it would take effect the next fiscal year, so.
Oh, okay, so no rush on it. But speaking of the gas tax, I saw that there's a new plan to actually look at the way that we're going to start charging it and take a look at what a lot of people have said about mileage and tracking people's mileage as opposed to straight the gas tax.
It's an insurance scheme.
So that's
We're already
so
doing
that's an interesting they're looking at. And speaking of legislative stuff, I sent this to you, Mr. Forte. Last week, there was a bill in the Florida House that passed about public notice. And you may hear about this, Mrs. Manning, that it passed in the House, and it will go over to the Senate. There's no other bill that I know of that's over there. And it's to be able to post public notices, not only strictly here in our news journal and something that is published 5 days a week with printed, that then adds all of that extra cost to the people coming before us and to the city, but instead be able to post public notices on our websites, and there will be rules to it. But it'll go over to the Senate to see if they can agree with it, and then go to the governor's desk. But it's very encouraging that this bill passed the House pretty overwhelmingly as well. So that's something to watch out for. I don't know if maybe Scott or Valerie has any.
Brian keeps an eye on it.
Okay, you do? Okay. Do you have anything to add about it or anything, or did I summarize it pretty well? Okay. All right. Thank you, Mr. Walker. With that, we will go to Vice Mayor Penny.
I wrote a bunch of notes down, but I still try to get out by 7. First and foremost, I'd like to congratulate you, Mr. Mayor, on your 40 under 40
Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
award that you received recently from the News Journal. So I'm going to tie three things together, and I don't want any response, but just want you to think about it before we get back together, okay? So Mr. Forte talked about the Pictona roof and funding that with possibly $500,000. I wholeheartedly support it. And the economic impact that that project is bringing to our community is real. We have a gentleman in the audience right now that has a bilateral contract to purchase the entire Bishop's Dairy Farm, 25 acres, and put a $7 million RV park there. That would not be happening without Pictona being here. So I wholeheartedly, both sides of the canal. So I wholeheartedly support that. But then Commissioner Curry said forward thinking, and I'm disappointed with the underground utilities project. But I'm actually seeing some transformers, and I'm actually seeing AT&T pole wires, and I'm seeing Florida Power and Light pole wires, and it's going. And I know we talked about phase 2, and what would we do if we didn't do phase 2? What project would we do? And I can't think of anything big that we would do. And I think we would be sad 20 years from now to look back and say we didn't finish that project. So I think we should personally, I think we should continue phase 2. I know this is a whole lot to throw at you, so we're not going to solve it tonight. But then it all ties together. Sometimes it comes back. There's no stronger proponent for four-laning LPGA than Commissioner Johnson. The problem is, how do you pay for it? And we're going to have a workshop, and we're going to get smoke and mirrors, and we're going to be told we can get this and that and everything. And there's going to be a match. There's always a match. Where are we going to get the match from? So forward thinking. Talk about extending the CRA and pledging those funds to widening that road and covering that canal. You're talking $50 million. Just something to think about, forward thinking. All these things come together. So speaking of the RV park, and it's Mr. Robin Hanger sitting right there, you guys know. He has a meeting next week with some of his investors. And it might be one investor, it might be 7 investors, it might be 20 investors. But they're putting together a package. And one thing that they would like that would help promote investment into this project, might be some sound bites from the mayor or from the commissioners. And I know we workshopped this well over a year ago, that we thought RV parks would be good because it tied into Pictona. And maybe we thought it was going to be at Pictona. And maybe some might be at Pictona, but this is a whole different project. So they're asking if you could think of, and if you can think of something now, say it. Don't email it to me later because we'll be breaking the Sunshine Law. Send it to Mr. Forte, but we need some quotes and think of it. Something you would put in the paper. I'm so excited about this development, or something like that. And if we can get that in the next couple days, by Thursday, he has some people working on putting a package together. Those quotes would go in that package. And it'd be very strong to know. I told them when they asked me my opinion, I said, well, the City Commission workshopped this, and I believe the City Commission is in favor of RV parks in the future. But I said, there has to be rezoned, and I talked to Mr. Forte, it would be a PUD, and talked to Brian, and there might be future land use changes that have to be made. And it's a lot of work. But just think of that, and what's the best way to communicate that, Joe? They send it to you?
Yeah, you could send it to me if you'd like, and then I'll assemble it and forward it on to Robin. That, I'll do it not quite like a press release, but write something up and bring in each of the different commissioners' quotes.
I mean, unless anyone is drastically opposed to it right now, like kind of speak now, forever hold your peace. But we're not voting on anything right now, but it's huge. I've seen some drawing, and it's going to be first class. So, thank you, Mr. Hanger. You got to work till you're like 90 years old, though, to pay for it now.
I've been for it since the cows left.
You've been what? Yeah.
Yeah, my husband had to chase them down sometimes. They got loose.
The cops had to?
Back when he was with the PD, yeah.
Wow.
He told me stories of having to chase them down.
And one last thing, I got 5 minutes left. At the last meeting, we talked about the surplus laptops. And I chimed in that it would be nice to be sitting here looking at a laptop instead of playing with my phone all the time. But then the more I thought about it, I was like, okay, it would be nice, but I don't think that the city should issue the elected officials the laptops. I think if we want them to be sitting here for us and for planning and appeals, maybe Scott can set up a way so that they're here and we can look at them. Maybe they're hardwired, maybe they're wireless. But I just don't think that, because employees can purchase them through the employee purchasing program. I think if we want to take it off of this desk, we should buy it just like any other employee should. I think that gives us a special treatment that we don't deserve. And if we keep it to the end of our term, 3 years from now, we turn it in, it's useless. It's going to be, it's going to be trash. So that's just my thought on it, is that it would be nice if we could set them here and we could read them. But I just don't think that we should take it off the dais unless we want to buy one and bring it back and forth. So that's just my thought on that.
I agree with that, actually, after thinking a lot about it. And I agree that, obviously, it goes without saying, we don't deserve anything more than anybody else, 100%. But, and the main thing is to have it here so I don't have to use my phone to look up the agenda and have it in front of me. So I agree. The only extra thing is that, as you know, I go to the elected officials roundtable meetings, and it would be nice to have that with me during those meetings, or if I'm representing the city on behalf of this commission, to be there, to have that, to have my notes prepared there that way. But that would be strictly only, use for the, the job that I'm doing as mayor. So other than that, it would strictly, I agree, it would be nice if we could actually have the agenda pulled up right here before the meeting starts and be able to use it in that way. So I don't know if that makes it more difficult, if every month I have to go to an elected official roundtable, if I can have that there to be able to use during those meetings. So, and we can think more about this and bring it back as well.
It doesn't have to be solved now, just throw
But
my thoughts out.
I agree as well. I don't think that, and the more I thought about it, the less I really wanted to buy it, just because although we would do everything in the sunshine and properly, it for some reason doesn't feel right. So I wouldn't want to do that.
Mayor, if we don't need them or want to use it, we can say, I mean, I bring my laptop almost all the time, but I didn't
You just use
tonight,
your own,
but-
yeah.
And it's just easier for me to
Yeah.
use my own, because that's what I'm used to.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't have a problem with other people using them, but I'd like to be able to continue using my own.
Yeah. It wouldn't be forced. We don't want to force you.
Yeah, don't force me.
So we could continue this and just bring it back again. There's
Yeah.
no really rush to it.
I actually had it on my list, and I didn't bring it up because
You said you were going to say something about it.
well, I didn't bring it up because I wanted to think about some more things, and I was going to delay it, so
Yeah.
I wasn't prepared to answer that yet tonight. So
Okay.
we'll
Yeah.
make no decision
good.
on it now, and
Okay.
we'll bring
It's a
it
good
back.
thought. Bring
Right.
it up though.
That's, I've given you enough to think about for the future, so,
And then some.
then some.
All right, there we go. Is there anyone else that needed to add anything? Any further business? Seeing none, this meeting is adjourned. 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 Seeing none, this